Well, I'm here with Pastor Tom Paino, and I'm so excited about this moment because the man sitting here is the only man, I'm 50 years old. He's the only man I've ever called pastor. I grew up in his church and then went away to Bible college. And when I came back from Bible college, I was a pastor. So he's the only person I've ever called pastor. Pastor Tom, how old are you?
I am 98.
98 years old,
Yes.
and what an amazing legacy you have. And that's really what we want to talk about today is
Okay.
your legacy, and particularly as it relates to missions. Talk to me about the things that you did early on to transplant what the Lord had spoken to your heart to the people who were sitting in the pew, so to speak. What are the kinds of things that you did to communicate that to the church?
If we have a heart for missions, God makes supernatural ways
That's right.
that we can never
That's right.
dream of. Let me give you an illustration.
Sure.
I was praying one day, and God spoke to me and said, I want you to go and talk to this man. Did not attend my church. He was a developer. I'd met him on two different occasions casually. Did not know him. But God spoke to me one day about missions and says, I want you to go and talk to this man about his giving. That's all the message I got. I thought, how do I do that? He doesn't attend my church. I can't go and ask him for money. I says, what do I do? So I let it go by. Next day I was praying. God says, go talk to this man about his giving. Third time. The third time, I just felt, well, I'm not going to get this out. So I said, what do I do? So I get on the phone, I call the man, and I said, can I have about 5 minutes of your time? And he says, sure. He told me where his office was and how to get there. And I says, okay, I'll be over there in a few minutes. What am I going to say? I had on my desk 3 of the flyers that missionaries send to you, of what they're doing. I says, well, maybe I'll talk to him about missions.
Sure.
I says, that's it. I walked into this man's office and I said, I'm here on a strange mission. I've never done this before in my life. I've never asked for what I'm about ready to ask. I says, but God spoke to me and he wanted me to come and talk to you about your giving. Tears came in his eyes. And he says, I helped this with a church. They really don't have a vision, but I've helped them every way that I can. And he told me an amount of money. He says, I've got this amount of money, of God's money, in the bank, and I don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, you don't come to my church. I said, maybe it's missions. I says, here's some information, and if this is of interest, I'll put you in touch with Phil Hogan in Springfield, Missouri. And he says, okay. He says, I'll go home, talk to my wife, and he said, I'll let you know. About 2 weeks went by. I had been to Calcutta, dedicated this building church that way down, and come home. Well, first thing, he came into my office about 2 weeks later, this man, and he said, you're building a teen challenge downtown, aren't you? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I want to give you $30,000. I said, no, don't do that. And he says, why? I said, if I can raise $30,000 in 30 days, you'll give me $30,000. He says, yes. I called 30 pastors, and I says, we're building a teen challenge. If you'll give me $1,000,
Yep.
I've got a man that will give me $30,000. And 30 pastors gave me $1,000.
It's awesome.
He liked that.
Yep.
He was a businessman.
Sure. You love the leverage. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 weeks go by. I had come home from Calcutta. And he said, are you going to do something like that again? And I said, I want to do something in South America. And this was back as there was a spirit of revival in the countries and down in South America.
Sure.
And I said, I'd like to do something in South America. He says, let me give you $25,000. And I said, I don't have any plan. I says, I don't know. I says, no. I says, wait a minute. I says, I'm going to call Springfield. I get a hold of on Phil Hogan on the phone, or I tried to, the secretary. She said, Phil Hogan is in an emergency meeting. She said, I'll have him to call you when he gets done. He says, is this important? I says, well, I got $25,000 to give away. She says, wait a minute, this is important.
I think he just got out of his meeting.
Oh, yes, he did. He comes to the meeting and he says, Tom, what is this about $25,000? Says, our meeting is we're trying to find out where to get to $25,000. Lauren Triplett is in Buenos Aires. We can buy a building that's worth over $200,000 for $25,000 if we have the money by Friday. This was a Tuesday. I said, Phil, I've got the $25,000. Tell them to buy it. And I could tell you, this businessman from that, I took him with me down there when we dedicated that building that was bought. And then walking up the street, he said to me one day, spend some money if you see something to be done. And I said, how much can I spend? He says, well, $100,000. So I began to give into the Bible school that needed some help. A couple of churches needed help. It got this man involved.
Sure.
I cannot tell you how he inspired other business people and the things that he did that began to multiply
Wow.
the finances, all because I was obedient enough to answer what God spoke on my heart.
Sure.
As far out as it may seem to
Right.
go and talk to someone like
So
that,
cool.
God knew what he was doing.
So cool.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, maybe give us a like, a comment, share it with some friends. If you're interested in more resources from the Stone Table, you can find those at thestonetable.org/start. Before you go, hey, check out this other video. We'll see you next time.